Plongez dans le grand bain de la vie locale avec Radio Grand Lac sur 92.1.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Bonjour à tous ceux qui écoutent Radio Grand Lac 92.1 FM et bienvenue encore à l'émission Your English Weekly, animée par moi-même, Sinead. Donc cette émission stimule la langue anglaise et l'expression anglaise. Vous pouvez écouter tous les semaines le mardi de 12h15 à 12h30. Donc, attention, nous allons changer l'horaire à partir de la semaine prochaine. Donc, chaque semaine, vous découvrez un nouvel article inspiré de Le Gardien ou du magazine Vocab ou un étudiant de notre école ou un ami ou un visiteur local. Et vous pouvez réécouter cette émission sur YouTube. Donc, cette émission est aujourd'hui sponsorisée par Your English Workshop. Your English Workshop, c'est un centre de formation assez dynamique. Donc, cette semaine, par exemple, nous avons tous les mardis matins rendez-vous au café ex-café famille pour papoter ou discuter en anglais. Cette semaine, nous avons une soirée animée en anglais, speedy speaking, à 19h le mercredi soir. Donc, regardez sur notre site et vous verrez nos petites activités. Donc, restez à l'écoute dans les 15 prochaines minutes pour notre expression de la semaine et notre conversation en anglais avec, alors, attention, j'espère que je dis ça bien comme il faut, Teacher Curis, oh, zut, ok. Et donc, avec quelques nouveaux mots de la semaine, et la leçon cette semaine est de à peu près B2. Donc, hi and welcome to Your English Weekly. My guest today is Teacher Curis. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I got it. Who is a bookworm. So when I say a bookworm, when I say a reader, I mean really a big reader. She will explain to us today about the book club in Chambéry. Is that right, TG?
Yes, it is.
Great. So when it was created, who is in charge and how to join them if you're interested, knowing that this book club is essentially in English. Okay, TG, hi.
Hi, Sinead.
Thanks for coming today. It's really good. But before we start, do you know the expression, because we always do our little expression before we start, to fight tooth and nail?
Yes, I think I do. You fight tooth and nail when you do absolutely everything possible to achieve or prevent something from happening. For example, they fought tooth and nail to prevent a new motorway.
Okay, so we'll see at the end of the show today, if you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, teacher, can you tell us, can you introduce yourself to us and tell us who you are and what you have done?
Yes, I was born and raised in Ghent, a town in the Flemish part of Belgium. So my mother tongue is Dutch or Flemish. Belgium, and more specifically Flanders, being so small, I learned to speak French, English, and German from an early age on. I married a Frenchman 38 years ago and have lived in France ever since. I've got 3 sons and 3 grandchildren. I have been a teacher my whole life. I started off being a maths teacher in Belgium. In France, I became a primary school teacher, and finally, I took a master's degree in French as a foreign language, so I ended up teaching French to foreigners, mostly migrant workers.
Okay, thanks, TG, for all of that. Wow, great life, huh? Now, today we're going to talk about the book club. But before we talk about the book club, can you give us a few words in your vocabulary list? So, for example, the first word is book club. Can you explain to our listeners what a book club is?
Yes, it's a gathering of people who come together to discuss books that are forwarded by an organization.
Okay, we've seen this word before, our next word, so let's see if you remember. Founded.
It's established, set up.
Okay, fantastic. We often hear about this with other people as well. We often talk about the HQ, which is the headquarters. Exactly.
So it's the main office. In the case of Lecture Pluriel, it's the place where the books are dispatched and where different happenings are organized by permanent staff supported by some volunteers.
Okay, so let's just look at Lecture Pluriel. What is Lecture Pluriel?
Well, it's the organization
Of the book club.
Of the book club.
Okay, so now listeners, you know that the name of the book club is called Lecture Pluriel. Okay, so tell us, what is a first novel?
Well, a first novel, you would say in English, a debut novel, is the first published novel of a writer.
Okay, and a happening, in this case, it's a noun where we're using the word a happening.
A happening is an event, something that is organized.
Okay, and now the next word, my friends, is one of my favorite words. It's called a ball. Now, we're not talking about the little rolling ball that we have here.
No, a ball is a social event in the evening where people dance. And it's taken from English literature where they often speak about balls.
And they wear their beautiful gowns.
Yes, very romantic.
Exactly. Critical. Now, we have to be careful in this context because it's not quite the same as, like in French, there are different meanings for different words. So what does critical mean?
Well, in this context, it just means important.
Okay. Vote.
In the context of the book club, it means if we rate or mark the books. If we have to choose, for example, 7 books, the best books gets a 7, and the one we like the least gets a 1.
Okay, fantastic. Keeps track.
In my case, it's the person who oversees and writes down our remarks.
Okay. Impressions.
It's what we think about it.
Okay. Arguments.
It's the reasons why we liked or disliked a book.
Okay, TG, thanks for all of these words. Now let's go on to the book club and what Lecture Pluriel is all about.
Okay, the book club is called more generally Lecture Pluriel. I think the French version has existed since 1991. I have no clue as to when the first English group was founded. I joined the French book club about 8 years ago and the English book club 6 years ago. The association Lecture Pluriel has its headquarters, Place Métropole, right next to the cathedral. Each group chooses a place to meet and there's a kind of leader. Our leader in Chambéry for the English book club is a New Zealander, Brian. He collects the books and leads the discussions in English.
Okay, so this book club takes place in Chambéry, huh?
Yes, it takes place in Chambéry. We have it at the Café de Paris.
Okay.
So we receive the first books at the end of August and vote for the books we liked most somewhere during February. We gradually receive about 12 books. During that time, we meet about every 2 or 3 weeks. And we are unlike every other book club because we concentrate on the first novel. This means we only read first published novels or debut novels. The book club is often called premier roman. For some authors, it's the first novel they have ever written which has been published. However, some authors wrote other novels but which have never been published, or they already published a collection of short stories or poems but never a novel. Some of them are young and others are much older. The purpose of the premier roman is to organize a festival with the winners. writers are invited and several happenings are organized all over town for 4 days in May, such as discussion groups with lycéens and adults. You can meet authors around breakfast or lunch or at the different book stands. And even a ball is organized.
Next year you'll have to invite me for that.
I will. Promise. Lecture Pluriel doesn't only forward first novels in English. There are about 30 French committees, 2 English committees, an Italian, Spanish, Romanian, and German committee. In the French book club, there are about 50 books available, whereas in the foreign language book clubs, there are about 12 books to read. One should know that a lot of very famous books were first novels.
Okay, Gigi, all of that sounds really, really, really interesting. So what's critical in all of this?
So one critical thing about our book club is that we vote for our books. As soon as we get the books, we insist on meeting every 2 or 3 weeks, as I said, and our leader, Brian, leads the discussion group and keeps track of the books and our impressions and our arguments. In February, each group votes for their favorite books. In the French book club, it's the 7 favorite ones. In the English book club, I think it's your 3 favorite ones. The Lecture Pluriel adds up all the votes and makes the average of all the committees. Once they have the list, they contact the authors and invite them to the festival. When the first author of their list can't come, they contact the second one, and thereon.
Okay.
They invite about 2 English authors.
Okay, so that's good, huh? So they get to come and discover our region as well. Not bad. Okay, so let's look at the criteria in the books the readers need to look for. So a reader who's reading all of these, what's important?
Well, first of all, the construction of the novel, the language and the syntax, how the author tackled the subject, the innovative character of the book, and of course, how the reader is captivated by the writing. Our book club also pays special attention to the ending, because we figured out that first novels often have a lousy, clumsy finish.
Oh, no.
Yes, it isn't easy to make the ending work.
But imagine if it's not your cup of tea. Imagine it's something that you might think is lousy, but I might think it's good. How do you deal with this?
Well, that's the whole point of the book club. Our leader, so Brian, asks us our general impression, what we liked and what we didn't like and why. And usually, when somebody hates the book, he's got the correct arguments and we throw it out because, believe me, some of the books are really very strange. Likewise, we usually agree quite easily on the gem, the good one.
The gem meaning the precious one.
The precious one. And some books are trickier, I must admit, and opinions may differ. In our group, we've got different nationalities and different age groups, and the difference in point of view can be vibrant.
Oh, we could be here all day talking about this. It's so interesting. Well, TG, so now if people were interested, where could they contact you?
Oh, we would love to welcome some new readers. The only requirement to be part of our group is that you are willing to discuss the books in English, even if you are not a native speaker. Our book club is called RRR, and we meet in the Café de Paris.
Oh, hang on. What does RRR mean?
It means read, red wine, and reblochon.
Oh.
Because we meet at the Café de Paris around a glass of wine, and this is really very nice.
Oh, okay. So there we are. So they can contact Brian, if I'm right, at 0699743667. I'll repeat that again, 0699743667. You don't have to be a native English speaker to join. You just have to be interested in English and understand the English language to be able to participate in English.
Yes.
Hey, Baba, that's a lot of information today, TG. Thank you so much for all of that. Well, that's all from us today. So if you're wishing to listen to this podcast again with TG, don't hesitate. You can find us on YouTube. You will also see my Facebook page with the expression of the week. I wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll be back with another guest next week. Also, remember, it's at 12:15 to 12:30. So join in next week for another conversation in English. Thanks, TG, for joining me today.
With pleasure.
Thanks. So stay tuned for 1 hour and 1 commune, Gressy Sir X at 5 p.m. tonight. So that's all from us today. Bye to you from us at you.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Radio Grand Lac. Votre radio.